Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Welcome back. Before we begin our talk, it's our tradition to go around the room and introduce ourselves. And sometimes we try and have a little bit of personal information to kind of make the self-introduction a little more interesting. So I'll start. My name is Peter, and today the warmth and the sun make me feel hopeful.
I'm Daniel. Happy to be here.
I'm Dan. My first time here.
I'm Mike, and it is a beautiful day today.
My name is Andrew.
I'm Bob. I'm Gary. I missed the cold. No.
I'm Scott.
I'm Jim, and yesterday I did my taxes so I could be outside.
I'm Ron.
I'm Baruch.
I'm Bill.
I'm Robert.
I'm Kay. I'm glad I finally got over my cold.
I'm Marvin.
Stephen. I'm Howard DePort. I got a new cell phone with a camera. I took my first pictures of the sunset.
I'm Steve.
I'm Tom.
I'm Will.
Nabu.
I'm Bill.
I'm Mark. I'm Marty. I want to get out and hike in the sunlight.
Mark, and I'm happy today.
I'm Ray Dyer.
I'm Lee.
Harmon.
David.
Jack.
I'm Richard.
I'm Tom Thurston.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Michael, and I'm glad to be back. I've been away for a few months. No nice to be back.
I'm Clint.
Jason.
Peter.
I'm Tom, and I'm very happy to be here for my first time on a beautiful Sunday.
I'm Adrian. I'm grateful for those two of us. They're wonderful.
I'm Richard.
Harb. I'm Roy.
Dave.
Steve.
Paul.
Don.
I'm Jim.
I'm Lee. I'm grateful for the sun.
George.
Good. Well, welcome to everyone.
I'm Lee.
One more.
Dexter.
Anyone else? Yes?
I'm Dexter.
Dexter? Okay.
I'm Jay.
Jay. Is that everyone now? Okay. So our speaker today is Lipp, and we have a little introduction. Lipp has a therapy practice in San Francisco and supervises at Haight Ashbury Psychological Services. She's been a member of Thich Nhat Hanh's Order of Interbeing, practicing Zen and Vipassana since 1990. She is the Diversity Outreach Coordinator at the San Francisco Zen Center. She teaches transforming depression classes in venues that include Spirit Rock Meditation Center, Insight Meditation Society, Zen Hospice Project, Tassajara Mountain Center, and the San Francisco Zen Center. She is presently teaching for the San Francisco Mental Health Association and the San Francisco Department of Mental Health. And she is also the coordinator of the Prisoner Book Program at the San Francisco Zen Center, which you've heard Don talk about several times in the past, and sends books to gay Buddhist prisoners in cooperation with the Fellowships Program. Is there anything else you want to add to?
I love cookies and ice cream. I mean, let's get down to the most important things. Shall I start?
Yes.
Yeah. So where's Baruch? So Baruch asked me, I met Baruch through the prison program. I work with the whole prison project, and my specialty is the correspondence program. And Don used to have the job that I'm doing for the San Francisco Zen Center. And as a member of the Gay Buddhist Fellowship, he was telling me about how Gay Buddhist Fellowship sends out your newsletter. to people that requested who are in our jails and prisons. Can you hear me?
Okay.
And then when Don no longer was doing the job that I presently do for Zen Center, I do a lot of different things for Zen Center. Then he introduced me to Baruch, who was going to be doing the same thing Don did, kind of this liaison. And so that's how I got to meet Baruch. And we've been talking about perhaps a collaboration between the Gay Men's Buddhist Fellowship, because I've gotten to know people over there, and the Gay Buddhist Fellowship, to perhaps start writing to prisoners or being part of San Francisco Zen Center is the organizing group. So we're just kind of beginning those conversations. I love to be a matchmaker like that. So Baruch, in the invitation for me to come and speak to you all, asked me if I had a title. And I don't usually have a title for my talks because I don't know what mood I'm going to be in. I might say I'm going to talk about something. A month ago, I might say I'm going to talk about something, and then today, something totally different is up for me. And I like to talk about, since it's all about me, I like to talk about what's up for me. And so what I said to him, because I realized that Valentine's Day was coming up, and I'm kind of looking at whether I have a sweetheart or don't have a sweetheart, which probably many of you are also looking at. So I was thinking about love and loving, and how to be loving when there's not a sweetheart for a long, long, long time. And so I said to him, for me, kind of a flippant way, that the title would be "The Biggest Box of Chocolates, Being Love." And then I kind of was stuck with that. I thought, oh my God, suppose he actually put that. Maybe he told you that's what I was going to talk about. And so I wanted to meet what I said I would. So I sat with that for a while. What is being love? What is a box of chocolates? What is Valentine's Day and all that stuff? So I've taken some notes about what I want to talk about, and I would like to invite you to set an intention with me to simply, for the minutes that we're together this morning, to simply set the intention of being love. And we'll talk about what in the world, what could that mean? What does being love mean? And one of the things I found, I wanted to read you this poem by a man called Musai Sensei, who I looked up online this morning because I wondered, here I am, I'm going to read the poem. His poem is kind of what I've used to help me focus what I want to say. What do I want to talk to you about? And so I looked him up, and he had studied with Suzuki Roshi at San Francisco Zen Center in 1970, and he studied with Maizumi Roshi and many other teachers, as I have. I've studied with many teachers. So what he has to say in his poem, and now he's a sensei and he's in charge of a large center in New Mexico. So what he says in his poem is influenced by all of the teachers that came before him and all of his practice and all that he studied, and now I'm influenced by him and all of his teachers and all that he studied and all that they studied and all the way back, to the historical Buddha. So here's his poem that he wrote about true love. Here is a mystery. You can lust after sexual beauty. You can gratify. You can desire what gratifies your senses. You can long for what remains out of reach. But you can only love what you pour love into. You can only love what you pour love into. What does he mean? recently I facilitated a meeting for people that are working with San Francisco Zen Center's prison project, and we're all volunteers, and some of us are writing to prisoners who request what we call spiritual pen pals, and some of us are teaching in the local jails and prisons. And in this meeting, we made a request of each other, and the request was to listen to each other and to support each other. Nobody actually said those words, but that was the meaning of us coming together, to reflect what it is that we're offering in being love to people who are living behind bars, reflecting what we're offering to each other. And as we do that, we're being love. We're being spiritual friends to each other. And so I ask myself, so what does being spiritual friends have to do with being love? And is there a bridge that connects these ideas? I listed some examples that I found this morning of how we use the word love to express a range of different emotions. So here's a list. You probably have some other ideas about this yourself, but this is what I gathered. A profoundly tender, passionate affection for another person. Sexual passion or desire. A feeling of warm personal attachment. Affectional concern for the well-being of others. The love of one's neighbor. Affectionate concern for our own well-being. Self-love. And we use words that come from the Greek language. We use words eros and philia, agape, to distinguish between sexual or romantic love. The love of friendship. Then, of course, the compassionate, selfless love directed equally towards all people. In Buddhism, we describe 4 different kinds of love. We call them the Brahmaviharas: loving kindness, metta; compassion, karuna; sympathetic joy, mudita; and one of my all-time favorites, equanimity, upekkha or upeksha, according to whether you're describing it with the language of Pali or Sanskrit. So these forms of love express a warm, tender, sympathetic attitude of the heart that we can express to ourselves and that we can express to others. So Muse, I don't really know how to say his name, so I wrote it out phonetically. Moo, M-O-O, Sai, S-I-G-H. I don't know if that's so. Does anybody know how to pronounce M-O-S-A-I? So I'm going to call him Musai. Sensei's definition, when he writes about Uchiyama Roshi, who in his translation of the Bendo-wa, something that a lot of people who practice Zen read and try to understand, he writes of Uchiyama Roshi's translation of the Bendo-wa, and he says that Uchiyama Roshi writes of true love. I looked in my translation of this of Uchiyama's work, and I couldn't find it in this book, but I'm going to take his word for it. And he says that Uchiyama writes about true love. Each and every one of us is living as the self that is only the self. Everything we encounter in this world is the content of the world. Therefore, we value, we take care of, and think tenderly of every one of these things as a part of ourselves. And this, he writes, is true love. We value, take care of, and think tenderly of every one of these things as parts of ourselves. And this is true love. Oh, that resonates so. with my heart. It just resonates so for me. Everything we encounter in the world is the content of the world and a part of ourselves. Yeah. Everything. Plants and trees and animals and people and politicians and chocolates, boxes of chocolates, sickness, old age, death, everything that encounters us is a part of our world. Being love, we can value all of these elements of experience.
Lee, I'm having a little trouble here. You're dropping your voice.
Anybody else? I do get a little soft when my heart is touched. We probably all soften when our heart is touched, so I'll do my best. Thank you for telling me. Thank you.
I need to hear it.
Yeah. I don't want you to miss one single word. So everything that touches us. Because notice, sometimes I go back and forth between saying everything that we touch, and actually we're sensing organs. You know, we take in what is offered to us in the larger self. We take it in via the sense organs of the eyes, the ears, the nose, the throat, and the body, the mind. We take in through our senses. We're sensing organs. So everything that contacts us is us. There's no separation. When we begin to value each of the elements that the world brings to us, when we begin to see that this is us, this is the content of our world, we're beginning to touch on being love. And we're actually deeply realizing that the world comes to us. We're touching on being love. We begin to widen our view of ourselves when this very deep wisdom is uncovered. We don't have to do anything. When we sit in meditation, this is one of the things, I'm one of the lucky people that actually loves to meditate. And nobody has to say, you should meditate. You know, it's so helpful to my life. And one of the things I love about meditating, even when I hate what comes up, excuse me, I probably shouldn't say hate. Yeah, sometimes I actually hate what comes up. It's like, get out of here. This is not bitty. I want to be peaceful. And sometimes what comes through is not peaceful at all. It's what I notice when I'm really still. Some of this that's been hidden from my conscious attention, comes up. And how do I meet this? How do I meet this that I say that I hate, that I want to avoid? With acceptance. I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. So we're everything that connects us. We don't have to do anything. Everything comes to us whether we want it to or not. Right? And so there's no separation between us and the elements of experience. Everything is connected. Each of us is a chocolate bonbon. Each one of us is a chocolate bonbon. You might even want to think about how you would describe your own bonness. So each of us, and that might be an interesting party game sometime. Hi, I'm a chocolate bonbon. Want to bite into me? I could say more, but I won't go there. So
we're already there.
Yeah. Yes, I see where I am. So I don't have to be careful when I say, cool.
Say more.
I bet you can do it better. So Okay, wait. Doing a Dharma talk is serious business. So here, each of us on our lily pads, a chocolate bonbon. And we know this, each of us. In the conventional relative world, each of us is sitting in our own little chocolate cup, a bonbon. And we're also the box of chocolates. The box of chocolates is made up of chocolate bonbons. When we're deeply aware of this, then we're no longer caught in a concept, an idea that we're separate from everything else. We're both. We are each a chocolate bonbon, and we're the box of chocolates. I knew I'd be able to make a bridge between. I did it. So, taking care of everything as ourselves is taking care of ourselves. And this is being love. This is being love. Now, paying attention in yourself. What does this mean, this being love? Meeting everything, loving everything that meets you. Is it possible? Is this possible? Meeting everything that contacts you with love? Is it possible to love creamy centers and hard nuggets? Maybe peanut butter cups and pralines. It's possible to love lights and darks. What happens when we come across an occasional jujube, or good and plenty, or licorice rope, or yogurt-covered raisins, or nuts? Can we be being loved with that whole array? Do we have to stay in the box of our already held views of what a box of chocolates is? What this chocolate bonbon is? Do we have to stay there with our views about what's in the box and what's out of the box? What's okay, what's not okay? What's self and what's not? Well, I'm this, but I'm not that cranky woman that woke up this morning. I'm simply this person speaking to you. I'm not this aging body. I'm still that young girl. Mm-hmm. I am this aging body, and I'm still this young girl. How do I widen my view to understand that there's no separation? There's no even time and space. Here's this man whose poem I have read to you that I'm just holding so to my heart, who I have never met. And yet I express him. He's here in the room with us. So how could I think there's just a separate me? And he's expressing all of his practice, right? He wrote a lot of different poems. I looked up his website. He's really cool. So here's this interconnectedness. This whole understanding of the web of life that comes through to me as I'm here with you and as I express Sensei's poetry. And it really isn't so hard to have a concept of oneness. We have T-shirts that say all is oneness blazoned across, or I saw one the other day, I am you and you are me. So we can see that, we can intellectually understand it, but how do we be it? Yeah. How do we actually be oneness? It's a great question. The question I'm looking at for myself is, how do I be being oneness expressing wholeness. And I come back to being love. I actually don't think that this is a question that can be answered by ourselves. We need each other. I think we need each other. What we see is necessarily limited from the view that we're sitting in the midst of our desires, our aversions, our delusions, our conditioning, sitting in the midst of all of that. Our view is necessarily limited in all of that. So we need each other to widen our view. For the web of interconnectedness to be revealed, we need each other. We need the chocolate bonbons, and we need the jujubes, and we need the good and plenties, and we need the peanut butter cups, and we need the occasional nuts. We maybe are the occasional nuts, and we certainly need some chocolate-covered cherries. And we need to listen and reflect and be with each other to find this answer. We can't do it by ourselves. That's where when we had this meeting of the spiritual friends together at Zen Center a couple of weeks ago, working with the prison program, I realized how much we need each other. You know, people would look to me as the person who's the expert who knows, and I know a lot because I've been working with prisoners for maybe 10 years. So I know a lot from my own experiences, but everybody in the room also had their own way of interacting with the person who is living their life behind bars. So we helped each other. We needed each other. So here is a mystery. You can lust after sexual beauty. You can desire what gratifies your senses. You can long for what remains out of reach. But you can only love what you pour love into. As I was rereading this morning over and over again, it just has a lilt, kind of matches my heart in a way that I appreciate poetry for opening. And I wondered, and I wrote this down because I just really felt gifted by these words. I wondered if perhaps when we love what we pour love into, that love pulls us deeper into actualizing love, being love. At that moment of loving what we pour love into, the field of love blossoms freely, independently, arising independently, liberated from the poisons of desire, greed, aversion and hate, delusion. Love becomes itself, and it expresses itself through how we are being. Being love is a practice for ourselves that opens the doorway to the wholeness of the heart. So, how do we be being love? It's a great question for each of us. Maybe a better question is, what gets in the way? How do we get in the way of being love? And I feel a little embarrassment even talking to you about love like this, or being love. I feel like that naive child who says, well, can't we all get along and be loving, like that? But that's only because of the conditioning through my family of origin, who said, oh, you're such a child, everything, you just love everything. So I spent many, many years trying to hide that I knew this, I knew about love. But in my family of origin, it was kind of illegal to express it. Life isn't about loving. Life is about making money and looking good, having status and looking good, taking care of your parents and making them look good. So I learned to hide this very deep truth that love is here for all of us. And we just need to uncover it. And we don't even get to uncover it ourselves. We do it for each other. And when we sit, love gets uncovered for us in the stillness that we're sometimes gifted with. When we stay close to the stillness, love and being love is revealed. So how do we get in the way of what Uchiyama calls true love? I have an idea that what gets in our way is our old-fashioned thinking, our ego-centered beliefs, our conditionings that we're not one. It's that it's all about me is what gets in the way. Every one of us is self-centered. That's our conditioning, right? And we believe it. We end up believing it, and we act as if it's true, and that's what gets in the way. I want to paraphrase. Until what time do I get to do this?
We should go until noon, but if you want to leave time for questions...
Okay, I will. Thank you. Thanks. So I want to paraphrase Musai Sensei. You probably all know this. When it's all about me, it's I'm different from who you are, and you do something that gets me mad, and I'm going to make sure that you know it. Not only am I going to make sure that you know it, I'm going to tell you that you have to change. And if you really love me, you're going to change. And if you don't change to please me, you must not love me, therefore I can't love you. Hope that didn't hurt too much.
A little stark.
Yeah, well, it's about facing the truth of how it is for us. We human beings suffer. It's from this, There's all of this suffering from this conditioning, this understanding that we're separate. That we say, I'm me, you're you, and you're here for me. Right? We see it plays out not just in our personal life, it's playing out in the world, right? I want what you've got, and you've got to give it to me. And if you don't give it to me, I'm mad, and I'm going to let you know. Right? And then, now you're mad at me. Right? And you're going to let me know. Suffering, suffering, suffering. Part of the human condition that we're all in. We're all in this box of chocolates together. So here we are with hurts that are carried in our bodies, with the anger that accompanies the hurt as protection of the heart, all tangles of conditioning blocking the gate to the heart. Right? That's all it is. It's just blocking the gate to the heart. But the gate is there and the heart is there. And this is one of the things that I love about meditation. When we're sitting and stillness comes as a gift, stillness gets uncovered for us when we're sitting. Love exposes itself. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to make you do something for me to feel love. It's already there. And it gets uncovered in the stillness. Particularly meditation cultivates being able to be with, very closely with the stillness. Then love is uncovered. It's already there. So what do we do when we're challenged? Right? When somebody hits us over the head with a board, or we hit ourselves over the head with a board, how do we appreciate oneness when we're challenged with this, when this comes in contact with us? How can we be practicing being loved at this time? That's where equanimity comes in. Being acceptance. Now, in this context, being acceptance, being equanimous doesn't mean it's okay with me that you hit me over the head with a board. Doesn't mean that. Being acceptance means it hurts when I hit over the head with the board, when I hit myself over the head with the board. This hurts. And when the heart door opens, I can sit with the hurt and I can accept this hurt. The hurt points to what needs attention. When we get hit over the head with a board, the hurt points to what needs attention. And what needs attention needs acceptance. So when I wake up this morning and I'm in this aging body, and I don't like that I have to oil all my joints when I get out of bed, I'm hurt by the wish to be something other than I am. What does this point to? Points to accepting, this is how it is. The Buddha talks about sickness, old age, and death. It's not just a concept, it's how it is. Yeah, I hear it. It's how it is. I now have to oil my joints. I don't have to, but wisdom tells me, oiling joints is a good thing. So that's what acceptance is. When I act as if I'm not in an aging body, when I try to cut off I'm in an aging body, I'm not accepting exactly who I am. And I'm cut off from love. It's through the suffering that love emerges. It isn't just that we're filled up with a box of chocolates, therefore love emerges. Love comes through the suffering door. Some of you already, I know that. So this is why I love meditation. It helps us open the door to the reality of suffering. It's not, we think sometimes, why am I suffering? Why do I feel bad? It's not your fault. That's the good news. It's not your fault if you're suffering. It's a part of what it is to be a human being. Right? It just is. So when we notice that we can't hide from the reality of suffering, because we actually can't. Many of us have tried, drugs, alcohol, shopping, TV, lovers. I'm sure I've left things out that only you know. So when we try to hide from the suffering, it doesn't work. Just simply doesn't work. We can't get rid of the suffering. So the deal is to be with our suffering, to be being love with our suffering. Oh, my dear, body hurts this morning. Oh, my dear. Make yourself an extra lovely cup of tea to start the day. Yeah. It tastes so good to feel the cup in my hand and to feel the warmth of the tea as it enters the body, warming the whole body. This door gets open, exposing love and compassion. So acceptance in this context simply means being with things the way they are. Letting go of wishing for things to be different. Accepting means being. Being love with whatever contacts us. We're everything. We're everything. Suzuki Roshi has said, being with things as they is. Acceptance is a process, and the possibility of being love without grasping for reciprocity. Can you imagine being love? Maybe you are already. Being love without any idea of reciprocity or self-aggrandizement. This becomes available to us. When we meditate, we can offer a glimpse into what happens as we practice acceptance. We can only love what we pour love into. We already have everything we need to do this. It's already present in us. For some people who are here, who are beginning meditators, actually all of us are beginning meditators. Every time we sit down, it's a new meditation period. But in the relative world, we talk about beginning meditators and long-time meditators and so forth. When we're beginning, we most likely will uncover part of the mystery. And we can only see as far as our eye of practice can see. So a wholesome practice to accompany beginning meditation can be to set an intention to pour love into everything that comes in contact with you. It's a practice. It isn't about, I'm not talking about practicing being perfect. I'm talking about practicing with what we can do as we express the love that's already there. So we can be loving as we're washing the dishes, and we can be being love as we look at each other, and we can be being love as we listen to our lover tell us they don't like what we're wearing. Oh, you don't like what I'm wearing. Oh. Ooh, that hurts. I wore this shirt just for you. Oh, and you don't like it. Oh. Oh, thank you for telling me. Thank you very much. And then see what happens. Okay. Then just see what happens. Thank you for telling me you would like me to wear a different shirt. Well, let me sit with that for a while. Thank you for telling me. That's being love. Accepting, this is what the person has said. That's about them and what they would like. And then sitting with ourselves. I like this shirt. That's about me. how am I being love in this situation? The question, how am I being love in this situation? It's a process that unfolds gradually, takes place over time. It is not a practice of perfection. Sometimes our lover says, I don't like that shirt you're wearing, and you may say, oh yeah? Well, find somebody that wears a better shirt. I'm out of here. Sometimes that's being love. Asking the question is being love. That's the question. What is being love? Is being love. So, with a final tribute to Musai Sensei, who I plan to email and tell him I did a talk based on a poem that I came across serendipitously. Because it would feel good for me to do that. He might like it. It's being love. I don't know whether he'll like it, but I will. So here is a mystery. You can lust after sexual beauty. You can desire what gratifies your senses. You can long for what remains out of reach. But you can only love what you pour love into. I'm looking forward to what you have to say in the time that we have, which is around 5 or 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any comments or questions? Any chocolates in the room that want to ooze? Yeah.
I found for some reason, when you mentioned making a cup of tea for yourself in the morning, to warm yourself up or whatever, is completely opposite of what I've done at times, which is more along the lines of, come on, get up, get going, got to be productive. What do you need? Okay, you need some tea? Here, have some tea, now get going.
Yeah.
And so I really liked, for some reason, the way you said that. It was more along the lines of, doing it for yourself out of love. Putting love into yourself.
Pouring love into yourself, exactly. Oh, you really heard what I had to say. So, one of the things that I make a practice of now, because we're all conditioned, we're all conditioned to get up, get dressed, get to work, do the next thing, right? Multitasking. Boy, I read an article recently about how multitasking is wrecking our brains. I won't talk about that today. You just have to invite me back. So I get up in the morning and I set my alarm 10 minutes early to do this because it's a great way to start the day for me. I get up and when my feet touch the ground, I'm aware that I'm sitting. My feet are touching the ground. And I can feel all the aches and pains of what it is to be a human being. You don't have to be in an aging body to feel the aches and pains of what it is to be a human being. And I sit and I feel my feet on the floor. And I just notice my breath. Because when I'm noticing the breath, I'm noticing life, right? Breath tells us we're alive. Breathing in and breathing out, this is life. We're embodying life. When we notice our breath, we are embodying life, right? And I just recognize that. Sometimes it's a minute. It's according to how fast I have to go to the bathroom. But I sit. And then my mind turns towards a cup of tea to love myself. So I'm so glad you heard that. Yeah.
I was at the symphony last night, and during a very quiet passage, a lot of coughing, and I'm getting annoyed at the audience. When behind me, two people started talking in these hoarse whistles, so I did this, not thinking anything, I just reflexly, shh, kind of thing. Well, they stopped, for which I was grateful. at the end of the program, when everybody's leaving, the man leans over and says, "Thank you for shushing us." Which, first of all, was really I thought that we were going to, icy stairs or anything. And my reaction immediately was grateful to him. He was I think it was genuine. My partner said, "Do you think he was genuine?" Yeah. And we started this little conversation, about how they hadn't been in the symphony in a while, and so forth and so on. Anyways, the point was that I was totally surprised by the reaction. Would that more of those sort of things happen in the public life? Maybe he meditates, I don't know.
Well, what we do know is that you already heard this Dharma talk through his mouth last night, right? That being love, and then you pay attention to what happens. And what happens is you become loving, right? It's that play it forward. When I'm being loved, then most likely, you may not express this to me, but nothing is wasted. I mean, everything is part of everything. So when we're being loved, that influences us. We all know when somebody walks in the room and they're furious, they're enraged, that fury, that rage influences us. We already know that. So it's the same with being loved. That's such a delightful story. Remember it for when you're doing a talk to people about love. I really hope we talk to each other about being loved. We often don't do that. It's because it's kind of, if you're from my family, it's kind of a childish thing to do. But I think it's the mature, loving thing to do as human beings. Thank you. Anybody else before it's time? Yeah.
Yeah, I was speaking with a friend once who had a bad divorce, and she made a comment about in a vulnerable, tender moment. She said, "I just wonder if I'll ever find my great love," because her husband had not been it. And I said, "No, Jane, your whole life is filled with love. Everywhere you go, people kiss you." She said, "Now, are we just poisoned with this idea of the one great love? Is that a nightmare from a Buddhist point of view? Or do you think sometimes it feels that way?"
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know either.
I'm a therapist after all. I don't know. What do you think?
I think different people can feel like the one great love. That's
I don't know. I think some people tell me, and they seem to demonstrate to me that they have found their one great love. Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen that. I have, in my small puddle of the world, it's rare, but I have seen it. I have not experienced one great love myself. I kind of like to spread myself around. No, actually, I have loved many people, and I still love many people. I love many people who aren't my lovers. I would like one great love. In fact, so I don't really know. Let's talk to each other about that sometime or another. Is there such a thing as one great love? A great question. The movies tell us there is. Yeah.
I like to watch the program on Channel 9 PBS, which is Nature. It's on every evening at 8 o'clock, and stay tuned in to watch Jane Eyre. It's terrific. But the message of, one of the messages of Nature is that everything is love. That is, the animals, the elephants, it's clear they love each other or care for each other by some definition. It's clear that the lions do, and lionesses, and even some of the other answers, you could almost say the beetles love each other from what these shows are. They care for each other. They know there's something there. And in some way it's a contact that's supportive. And I'm just very impressed by the expansion of the possibilities of love when you get rid of the words.
Yes. Have you read Why Elephants Weep?
Why
Elephants Weep. I think it's called Why Elephants
It sounds like a great book, yeah.
Oh, you would You would love it. I want to make sure that I follow your form, and I think it's about 1 minute up.
Right. All right, so we ended there. Let's all thank Lee for her talk.
Thank you.
So now it's time for Sangha-related announcements. Before we start, I'd like again to ask the newcomers to identify themselves. Raise your hands again. You're saying your name again?
Dan.
Dan and who else? Don. Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. Who has announcements for the Sangha? Lipp.
There was a deviant Sangha member, Mark McClellan, has been here for a while, and he's been going through some really rough physical things. He had an meningitis last December, I think, and it's been one thing after another, and he gets a little better, then he gets worse, then he gets a little bit. And so his partner, Ari, is there for him, but they really do need a support group. They have good people in their lives that are supporting him, but Ari is unemployed, and he's trying to find time to look for work. But he has to also take care of Mark, who needs somebody to do something like that. So I'm just saying, if you know Mark or Ari, or if you want to just contact them. I think that Ari would appreciate somebody would come and just spend an evening with Mark, so he could go look for work or do other chores. So I'll just put it out there. And if you want more information about it, just contact me afterwards, and I'll give you a way to contact Ari.
Any other announcements? Any potluck announcements? Right?
Yeah, there's a new printed edition of the GBF directory available biodegradable. Feel free to take a copy.
Do we have a host today?
Wait, Peter,
okay.
Just a quick thing. Our speaker for next week is Joanna Macy, and Joanna Macy is an eco-philosopher and visionary and activist. She's very active in the peace and social justice movement, so I suggest coming early to get a seat.
Space will be limited. Huh?
Yep.
Do we have a host?
Yes, I'm the host. So there are, in keeping with the theme of the day, chocolate scones. And there's tea. Please wash your cup if you have tea. And there's also a Donna bowl. I'll be coming around, and we suggest $5 to $8 donation. I think if you're new and you'd like to be on our mailing list, there's also a sign-up sheet out there.
The pink sheets. Yeah. We also generally have a group that goes to lunch afterwards. It's not an official group. People just collect. So watch the door and lurk if you want to go to lunch with people. I believe this center is having a benefit concert here this afternoon, so we may have to end a little bit more punctiliously because they are going to be getting ready for their fundraising. Any other announcements? Bill?
I'm Bill. I pick up the group's mail. I want to share with you, we've received close to $2,000 in contributions, and the group wisely uses its funds to do a lot of community service. We've also got another check from community thrift. So if anybody needs to do any house cleaning, you have things that you'd like to recycle through them, you can ask that your contributions go to the GBF.
Number 40.
But who's counting? Any other announcements? Okay, so we usually end with the dedication of merit. Would you like to?
Oh, sure. You do it standing up?
You do it in a circle, yes.
Okay. Noticing our breath and breathing in, being aware of the in-breath, breathing out, being aware of the out-breath. May we dedicate the merit of our being together, our being loved together, to all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from physical and mental harm. May all beings be safe. May their hearts be open. And may all beings be free. With blessings abundant. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you're a smart man. Wear soft jackets and you get petted a lot.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.